What if I told you there might be a secret stash of cash with your name on it, just waiting to be claimed? Welcome to this explainer, where we're going to unpack exactly how to uncover and reclaim lost funds in Vermont without spending a single dime. Have you ever wondered if an old employer maybe forgot to send your last paycheck, or maybe an old bank account was just left behind when you moved? Well, today we're going to figure out exactly how to find out and, way more importantly, how to get that money back into your pocket completely free of charge.
So let's dive right in with a question that might literally pay off. Could the state of Vermont currently owe you money? Now, I know it sounds like a scam or maybe just a long shot, but the reality of state unclaimed property programs is honestly one of the best-kept financial secrets out there. This isn't a lottery. It's simply your money that somehow lost its way back to you.
Believe it or not, there is over $150 million in unclaimed holdings sitting in Vermont state custody right now. That's a staggering figure. The Unclaimed Property Division of the Vermont State Treasurer's Office acts as the legal custodian for all these funds. And remember, this money doesn't belong to the government. It belongs to individuals, estates, and businesses who have just simply lost track of it over the years.
Here is our treasure map for today. 1. The hidden Vermont treasure. 2. Unclaimed property laws explained. 3. How to search for free. 4. Filing your claims successfully. 5. Dodging scams and pitfalls. And finally, 6. Resources and final disclaimer. Starting off with Section 1, the hidden Vermont treasure. Over 900,000 distinct properties. Honestly, when you think about the fact that there are over 900,000 individual properties currently sitting in this database, the odds that you, or maybe a family member, or a business you know has a claim are incredibly high. Statistically speaking, 1 in 10 Americans has unclaimed property.
To put that into perspective, in fiscal year 2025 alone, the Unclaimed Property Division processed 19,010 individual claims. They successfully returned over $5.8 million to everyday people. That's real money being injected right back into the local economy and into the hands of its rightful owners. It really just proves that this system actually works, and works pretty efficiently.
And we're not talking about super obscure financial instruments here. These successful claims are made up of really common assets. We're talking forgotten savings accounts, uncashed paychecks, and old utility deposits. Like maybe you paid a security deposit for an apartment's electric bill years ago and then moved before getting it back. Or perhaps there's a life insurance payout from a distant relative you didn't know about. These everyday assets are exactly the types of funds just sitting there, waiting to be claimed. Moving on to Section 2, Unclaimed Property Laws Explained. How money gets lost. It's absolutely crucial to understand the mechanism behind this, which is formally known as escheatment. Holding entities, like your bank or corporation, don't just get to keep your forgotten money. By law, they are mandated to hand it over to the state.
The core concept driving this whole process is called a dormancy period. Think of it as a legal countdown clock. Once that clock runs out, your bank or employer has to hand your inactive funds over to the state treasury. Every asset has a specific dormancy period, and once there's zero contact between you and the holding institution for that defined amount of time, the property is legally deemed abandoned.
Now, that dormancy countdown really varies depending on the type of asset. It ranges from just 1 year for wages all the way up to 15 years for traveler's checks. And if you think about it, the time frame matches the nature of the asset, right? A paycheck should be cashed pretty much immediately, so it only takes a year of inactivity before it's sent to the state. Checking and savings accounts take 3 years. But here's a neat detail. Before that transfer even happens, Vermont law actually requires institutions to send a first-class letter to your last known address if the asset is over $50. So they do give you one final chance to claim it directly from them first.
But here is the catch, and it's a big one. Once the state takes custody, interest-bearing assets stop growing. That causes a silent inflationary depreciation of your money if you don't act quickly. Yes, the state holds your money in perpetuity, meaning it is yours forever until you claim it, but it basically acts as a static vault. A savings account that was previously earning interest at your bank is just going to sit there at the state treasury, slowly losing its purchasing power over the years due to inflation. This is exactly why you need to search and claim it as soon as possible.
Let's look at Section 3, How to Search for Free, Navigating the Databases. Honestly, the absolute best part of this entire process is that it's completely public and 100% free. You definitely don't need a lawyer, and you certainly don't need to pay some middleman to do this for you.
Because property is tied to your last known address, you really need to check the databases of every single state you have ever lived or worked in. You can start directly on the Vermont State Treasurer's website for local claims, where you just type in your name. But if you've moved across state lines at any point, utilizing missingmoney.com, which is a free, officially endorsed multi-state database, is going to be your best bet. Here's a pro tip for you. Always search variations of your name, your maiden name, and any business names you've operated under. Data entry errors happen constantly, and a slightly misspelled name might be the only thing hiding your payout.
Section 4. Filing your claim successfully. The step-by-step guide. Look, the state genuinely wants to return this money to you, but they also have a strict fiduciary duty to make sure they are giving it to the actual rightful owner and not just some identity thief.
Luckily, the process is remarkably straightforward. It flows through 4 simple steps, all without ever needing to hire someone to help you. Once you've identified your property online, the portal tells you exactly what you need. Most of the time, this just involves some basic identification. You gather up those digital or physical copies and submit your claim straight to the state. No fees, no fuss. Simple as that.
To keep things secure, the state uses a sort of verification matrix. For example, if you're claiming a small utility deposit under $200 for yourself, you might actually finish the whole process entirely online in about 10 minutes. But on the flip side, if you're claiming $5,000 on behalf of a deceased parent, you are absolutely going to need certified death certificates and official probate documents to prove you're the legal heir. Basically, the greater the value and the more complex the legal relationship, the higher the burden of proof.
Next up is Section 5, Dodging Scams and Pitfalls, Protecting Your Assets. Because, as we all know, where there's free money, there are always opportunists waiting in the wings to take a cut or, honestly, take it all.
There is a massive difference between the legitimate state process, which again is always 100% free, and commercial heir finders or phishing scams that demand a cut of your own money. Listen, the state of Vermont will never text you out of the blue about unclaimed property, and they will absolutely never ask you for a processing fee, a tax, or an upfront payment to release your funds. If anyone reaches out to you demanding a percentage just to help you recover what is already legally yours, be highly suspicious.
Now, Vermont actively protects you with some pretty strict laws. Any heirfinder contract signed within the first 2 years of the state acquiring the property is completely void. That's a huge protection. It basically gives you a 2-year buffer to find your own money before commercial locators can legally bind you to those high-commission contracts. And even if you do decide to use a legitimate locator way down the road, Vermont law mandates that the state mails the check directly to you, the owner. You literally cannot assign the underlying legal rights of your property to a middleman. Finally, Section 6, Resources and Final Disclaimer. Because knowing exactly where to go for official, trustworthy help really is half the battle here.
If you hit a roadblock at any point, you can easily reach out directly to the Vermont office of the state treasurer using their verified contact points, and they will help you out at absolutely no cost. You can call their main line or use the toll-free number. They actually want to reunite you with your funds. And remember, if you do encounter one of those scams we just talked about, report it to the Federal Trade Commission immediately.
Quick heads up before we wrap, please remember that while this framework is entirely accurate based on resources available as of today, July 23, 2026, laws do evolve. Always verify the requirements through the official state portals. State statutes regarding dormancy periods, required documentation, and claim procedures can be updated by the legislature at any time. So consider this explainer your solid evergreen foundation, but always let the official state website be your absolute final guide.
So, I want to leave you with this final thought. The money is just sitting there, the search is completely free, and the process is crystal clear. So what are you waiting for? Head over to the state portal or missingmoney.com right now. You literally have nothing to lose and potentially thousands of dollars to gain. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer, and happy hunting for your hidden wealth.